My name is Dr. Dominic Brandy. I am president and founder of Natural Insights into Cancer. And what I'm going to discuss today is a current rage on social media. It's about an article that was published in April in Frontiers of Nutrition. It's called Priority Micronutrient Density in Foods. It was written by Teal and Ortenza. And recently, Joe Rogan did an interview with Max Lugavere, and they were just touting this study. And I really felt that it was important for me to address it because I think there's a lot of concerns with the way the study was designed. Just to kind of give you a little background about the article, it covered 5 different regions of the world: Latin America, there were a couple areas in Africa, and then South and Southeast Asia. These were primarily indigent areas. And what they did was evaluate 6 different micronutrients: iron, zinc, calcium, preformed vitamin A, which you primarily only find in animal products, folate, and B12. And for those of you that follow my sites, you know that if you eat a whole food plant-based diet, you are not getting very much vitamin B12 and you need to supplement. In fact, anybody over 50 really should supplement because you stop really absorbing it well after the age of 50. Now, if you would have told me this is the way you were going to design this study, I could have told you right off the bat that animal products were going to be way up on the top of the list and plant foods were going to be way down at the bottom. And if you look at the table that I'm just showing you, right now, you can see that that is exactly what happened. Now, if I would have designed this study differently, let's say I would have said, okay, we want to evaluate vitamin C, we want to look at fiber, we want to look at, one of the 25,000, phytonutrients in food, the polyphenol content, the anthocyanins, the flavonoids. Then this study, this table would have been totally flipped upside down. Plant foods would have been up on top, and then your animal products would have been down at the bottom. For those of you that have studied the blue zones, they're the 5 areas of the world where people live the longest. Icaria, Greece, Sardinia, Loma Linda, which is in California, Okinawa, and in Nicoya, Costa Rica. Those cultures eat primarily a plant-based diet. It's about 95% plant-based, 5% animal products. And we do know from many, many studies that vegetarians live much longer than omnivores. If you look at men, for example, on average, men live about 10 years longer if they're vegetarian, and women live about 6 years longer. So we do know that from many, many studies that have been done over the years. Now, looking at the animal products compared to the plant foods, first thing we need to understand is that the crux of this article was really to improve the nutrition in these underdeveloped countries. And for any of you that have, go to the grocery store, you know that organ meats and muscle meat, dairy products are much more expensive than plant foods. So that was very troubling to me, that's what they were basically trying to accomplish through this article. And it really did not do that because these indigent countries really can't afford these animal products. And if you look at animal products compared to plant foods, many of them are very harmful to your health. We all know that animal products have high cholesterol and high saturated fat. And that's another recent rage. Recently, there were a couple studies that were done that showed that saturated fat and cholesterol are not bad for you. They were funded actually by the meat and dairy industries. And we know from thousands of studies done over many, many years that high saturated fat, high cholesterol intake is definitely correlated to higher cardiovascular disease and cardiovascular mortality. Also, when you look at plant foods, they have very high pesticide levels compared to plant foods. Fish, for example, they have some of the highest PCB levels of any animal on the face of the earth, just because the waters are so contaminated nowadays. bivalves, which are clams, mollusks, mussels. They're basically filter feeders, so they have very high toxin levels. Shellfish are scavengers. They basically scavenge off the bottom of the ocean. And if you get farm raised, I mean, they have a lot of pesticides and antibiotics because that's how they raise these animals. And just remember, every animal product was a living being. So they had their own hormones. Even if hormones aren't added, remember that that animal has hormones just like we do. They have growth hormones, estrogens, testosterone, etc. Also, they have contamination. They have bacteria, viruses, parasites, diseases. And even if you cook meats to a high level, it does not destroy the endotoxins, which are released by the bacteria. And those endotoxins stay in your system for about 6 hours. They create very high inflammatory levels. And I think we all know from our study of inflammation that chronic inflammation definitely is correlated with all kinds of diseases. Diabetes, cancer, cardiovascular disease all cause mortality. And also remember, when you cook food, you're also creating all of these carcinogenic compounds, heterocyclic amines, polyaromatic hydrocarbons, nitrosamines, advanced glycation end products. So all of these things are created when you actually cook the meat. And the other very important thing is, remember, there's no fiber in animal products. We did a whole video on the microbiome, and we showed that when you eat a high carnivore diet, the bad bacteria in your gut actually proliferate and release these secondary bile acids that cause DNA damage and subsequent cancer of various types. When you eat a high fiber diet, like when you eat more plant foods, they release these short chain fatty acids that are extremely anti-inflammatory, and they also jack up your natural killer cells. And some researchers feel that about 70–80% of your immune function actually comes from your gut. Plant foods, in comparison, remember, they have about 63 times the antioxidant power compared to animal products. They're low in cholesterol, low in saturated fat. They have low pesticide levels, very, very high in fiber. As I said, they really improve your microbiome. So that's the main reason I felt I really needed to address this study and this current rage, because it really can cause a lot of harm to a lot of individuals. I don't have a problem with including some animal products into your diet, but it really should not be the priority. It should be not the majority of your diet. So hope you learned something. Thank you.